Mwah! Perfection. Hey everyone, welcome back to Andrew's Wizard of the Reads, and as always guys, I got another video for you. But before we get into that video, make sure you're liking and subscribing, hitting that bell notification so you can get regular updates for when I put out new content. I post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And that said guys, today, obviously it's a Friday, which means it's time for another book review. And guys, this is a book review that is long overdue. I've been thoroughly enjoying this series. This should come as no surprise. It's going to be The Hod King, the third book in the Books of Babel by Mr. Josiah Bancroft. And guys, I'm going to be upfront with you. This is a 5 out of 5 read for me. I had maybe one complaint throughout the entire book, and literally it just requires a bit of suspension of belief, which I also had an issue with that in The Arm of the Sphinx. So before we get into all of that, of course, this is the third book of 4. The fourth book is coming out, I believe by the time this video has come out, the fourth book will be out. There will be a review on the channel for The Fall of Babel. Don't you worry. That said, guys, let's get on in. I will, of course, be talking some spoilers from Arm of the Sphinx / Senlin Ascends. It is unavoidable when you're in the third book of a series. If you have not read it, I highly recommend that you go and read these books. Of course, I am not the boss of you, so you are free to do as you will. That said, guys, where to start with The Hod King? So I think I want to start first with the one criticism I have. Now, back in Arm of the Sphinx, which was very swashbuckling, I had mentioned that it felt a little bit like I had to restructure within my brain what the tower looked like and how massive in scale it was in order to justify the airships, not having to hunt each other down, not seeing each other, and avoiding each other, and how tall the tower is and how wide the tower is. I had to go through all of that. And so in my brain, the tower's massive. The problem in The Hod King, my suspension of belief comes in, is for as big as the tower is, characters seem to easily bump back into each other. From the first book, we are told that people lose each other for years upon years at a time. And Senlin is just either lucky or unlucky enough to keep making reacquaintances. So, I've had various discussions, and basically, just because the tower is such a despicable place, the women, for nefarious reasons, always seem to float to the top where all the money is, for very, very unhealthy reasons. And the men, of course, are shoved either onto the Black Trail, or made debtors, or, made into Hods, and all this sort of stuff happens to them. So it could be that because Senlin's fighting against the system is why he keeps running into these people. So I will mention that as my one critique, major critique of the series. Everything else I pretty much loved. Structurally, I don't know if you can see it, but let's see if I can get the book to focus. You can see these black lines, which structurally those are interludes. So there are sections in here called the Black Trail, and that becomes relevant after part 1. But basically, these are interludes. This takes on the theme that Arm of the Sphinx did, where we pull even further away from Senlin as the main POV, and we really embrace the multi-POV structure within The Hod King. And guys, it's fantastic because this book has stakes, it has feeling, it has darkness, it has just so much heart. But basically, we've got 3 parts and then 4 Black Trail parts. Wait, 1, 2, into part 1, 2, 3 Black Trail parts. Excuse me, I'm sorry. The Black Trail parts are very, very interesting. You really get to see a part of the tower that's never really explored. I'm not going to go into detail. You're just going to have to read it to find out. I really, really enjoy it. But basically, where we left off in Arm of the Sphinx is Senlin and crew has signed a contract with the Sphinx. As much as Edith was just like, hey, this is a bad idea, everybody ends up signing their life away. And Senlin, after now no longer being an addict to Crumb, the Sphinx has cured him through hallucinations and the whole weird, cool library thing. That was just awesome. In Arm of the Sphinx with the cat and the cat librarian. Freaking loved that. But basically, Senlin is clean now, and he is ready to go find Mariah, and that means he's got to find a way into the Pelfier Ringdom. And so the Sphinx was like, hey, I've actually got business in the Pelfil Ringdom, you're going to go be my agent there. And he's like, oh, cool, I'm kind of known. He's like, listen, you've already taken on so many aliases. What's one more? So he makes him a Boskop, I believe is what it's called, which is like a ringdom of like really like rude, kind of like socially inept, backwards accountants who like people don't like interacting with. So once they hear the term Boskop, they like don't engage in conversation and they leave you alone. So he's like, I'm just going to make you a Boskop and then people are going to avoid you anyway. But I need you to go to Pelfir and figure out why all my spying little machines keep going missing. And it's this great mystery that the Sphinx just can't seem to figure out. And initially, like, Tom's kind of, like, antagonistic towards the Sphinx. He's like, I don't want to do that. He's like, listen, you're mine now. I could send you to Pelfir or I can send you somewhere else. And you'll never, ever find Maria. And you'll never rescue her from Duke Wilhelm Pell. I can say his name. It's not that hard. Yes, it is. Anyway, but so he basically goes in under the guise of this Boskop Cyril Pinfield. And he starts exploring the Pelfian Ringdom, which this is, the majority of this story takes place in the Ringdom of Pell. So we're finally here. We've been trying to get here for 2 books. 3rd book, we're finally here. But he is sent ahead of Edith, who is now captain of the Heart of the Sphinx. No, that's wrong. I forgot the name of the airship. But it's like the Sphinx's airship. She's been made captain. And she and Byron and Valletta are coming down slowly. And Valletta's being trained, which will come into play later. But basically, he is sent there. He is told, do not interact with the Duke. Do not interact with Maria. You're going to mess it up. And we can kind of see where this story goes because Senlin is so good at following the rules. But basically, that is part 1. And we finally get to see kind of Senlin kind of be like, no, I've survived the tower on my own. I know what I'm doing. Well, do you, dude? Anyway, after part 1, we then cut away from Senlin. And we explore. We finally get like a long, dedicated Valletta POV, which like usually we've had like snips and brief glimpses, like when in Arm of the Sphinx, she was like going around crawling through the ductwork, like lying to everybody and like hanging out with the Sphinx. You know, we figure out that she's very headstrong. And now that Adam's gone after into Arm of the Sphinx, she's kind of very much on her own, but she's okay. She's very strong-willed, and she's like, I'll be fine. I'll see him again. And they're like, hey, you've got to infiltrate polite society. You're going to act like the Sphinx's niece, and you're going to be his representative, and you're going to go here, and you're going to do this thing. And she's like, well, I don't really want to do that. I don't know why I have to learn all these manners. It felt very much like, what's that movie? I've got this movie. What is the name of it? It's the one with Rex Harrison, where they're trained. My Fair Lady. It's My Fair Lady. So, it's very much like My Fair Lady, where Byron is trying to just school Valletta in polite society. It's hilarious. It's a lot of fun. And we really get to see her kind of go in and out on her own. Of course, she's got Irene to back her up. But then we also get to meet Xenia and the Marquis de Clark? Marquis de Clark, I don't know, and his daughter Xenia, who are they've kind of like paid to entertain and host this Ringdom's, host Valletta. Basically, the entire Pelfian Ringdom is just all about actors. It's kind of like The Parlor, but on a like grander scale. Like, it's all about appearances. Like, no matter how like ridiculous fashion is, if somebody of high enough standing starts a fashion, like, he can just wear, like, a snotty napkin on his head, and if he does it for long enough, it'll catch on and become fashion. And so it's all about appearances in this Ringdom. And it's very, very silly, very, very weird, to the point where Valletta's like, I don't understand you people. Like, you might as well just be aliens for how similar and how dissimilar I am to these people. And so we really get to see Valletta deal with all that, and then she kind of starts catching the attention of Prince Francis, who is this kind of dangerous higher noble. And the book kind of addresses the whole subject matter of, you know, they've been battling these people in the tower and overcoming people of higher station than they are. And we really get to see if you come up across against a high enough ranked individual, what happens when you push hard enough. So it's very, very interesting seeing Valletta deal with this. And kind of, you see her relationship with Irene kind of evolve. We see Irene also, even her character development expands even further. We see her interact with the governess Anne, which is Zanya's governess, obviously. I just said that. But she and Irene kind of develop this relationship. It's really interesting. I'm really interested to see where this kind of ends up going. And then finally, at the end of part 3, we get Edith's POV. Basically, she is the captain of this airship that is coming behind Senlin. Senlin has gone missing since part 1. And so the great mystery here with Edith is she's trying to figure out what's happened to Senlin while interacting with Pelfier's Wakeman. They've had a embedded Wakeman there for over 20 years. I forget this character's name. But Edith kind of develops this rapport with her, this almost sisterly rapport with her. And she's kind of being shown around the Ringdom. She's interacting with the Ringdom's king. She's basically like, hey, I'm here from the Sphinx. I'm here for your, the portrait that's really, really important to the tower and the great mystery of the tower. She's like, hey, I'm here for the painting. They can't find the painting. And so she just keeps spending more and more and more in time there. And while there, she really gets to analyze, how she feels about working for the Sphinx and how she feels about Tom Senlin and everything that is involved with just this great found family coming together. And it's a great analysis of their feelings. Guys, this book is an absolute delight. It reads really quickly. I know it looks really chunky, but this bit right here, like this little section right here, is like the Orbit extra stuff. So it's only 560 pages. Which is pretty standardly average for a fantasy novel. I am super excited to see where we go in the Fall of Babel, because I really, really enjoyed the revelation of the Hod King and who the Hod King is, and the greater mystery and where everybody has ended up and all of the events that happen in this book. It has gut punches. It has disbelief. It is brave. It is very, very interesting what Josiah Bancroft chose to do in this book. Like, I have seen him do things with his characters that a lot of authors just don't have the guts to do. And so for that reason, I'm just so excited for this series. It gets the highest of recommendations for me, guys. And till next time, make sure to look out for the Fall of Babel review. It will be coming. I promise you that. But that is the end of the book review. Let me know in the comment section down below what you were thinking of the Books of Babel, your theories for the Fall of Babel, what you thought of Hod King, what was your favorite part of Hod King. And let me know in the comments down below. I look forward to a very engaging discussion. And as always, guys, make sure to check that description down below for the link to the Wizardly Duo Discord. We would love to have you there. And if you want to support the channel on a more regular basis, go ahead and click that Patreon link in the description, and you can go ahead and support the channel. Your support is always appreciated. And as always, guys, till next time, peace out, stay magical, bye. And as always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons.